We appreciate all you working us in. I know it's a busy day traveling and getting ready to go home or see friends. We appreciate you being here and welcoming in an old friend, not that old really, Michael Bratton from the SEC podcast. Michael, great to see you. Thanks so much for dropping by. Who have you been ticking off today?
Primarily Kentucky, but you ask me that in a couple hours, I can give you a different team, Paul. So it's a pleasure to be here as always.
So why are you, I hate to do this in staccato, but why are you ticking off Kentucky fans?
Well, all I said, Paul, was that Mark Stoops, good coach, not great. Wouldn't have him as a top 25 coach in the country. And I think 10 years of data bear that out because he beats who he's supposed to beat. He rarely beats anybody he's supposed to. And then when he does, he turns around and loses a game he's supposed to win. So very good coach, but I'd give him a C grade if I was giving him an A, B, C, D type grade. So good, maybe the best in school history, but that's not saying much considering it's Kentucky.
Man, you're forcing me to go through all the coaches with now that you're Professor Michael. Let's stay in the East as long as we're taking names here. Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Clark Lee. What about him?
Yeah, I mean, it's early to grade him, Paul, but of course, the two SEC wins, that was two more than most thought they'd get. And beating Florida, beating Kentucky, that was one of the games I was alluding to with Stoops. I'd probably give him a C minus right now.
C minus, man, you are. Remind me never to have you if I ever become a kid again. No, I don't want you and my geometry teacher. Come on. Okay.
Well, I mean, the best thing he's done is won 5 games. He's got a long way to go,
okay.
Paul. Again, it's hard to grade someone after 2 seasons.
Okay, the guy that I hear a lot about on this show, from a personal standpoint, he's a riot. I don't know about as a coach. Coach Drink at Missouri.
I mean, I think it's fair to say C minus. I don't know that he's had a winning season yet. He's kind of the same deal. I mean, this is kind of a make or break year. I know they just gave him an extension, but we both know that's not worth the paper that it's printed on.
Okay, let's stay in the East since I'm looking down at for the final time for final year of divisions. Josh Heupel, Tennessee. Come on, give him a better grade than a C minus.
A
okay.
For Josh Heupel,
Finally.
no doubt. I mean, one of the top 10 coaches in the country, I think.
Oh, that was good. Shane Beamer, South Carolina.
I'd give him a B plus. Again, it's early in his tenure, but he's overachieved both years at Columbia. I think plenty of people, when we get to media days, are going to be doubting South Carolina again. I think that's exactly where Shane Beamer and company want to be.
2 more by my count in the SEC East. That would be Kirby Smart.
A plus. I mean, that's the easiest one on the board. He's the best coach in the country.
This one's not easy, or maybe it is. Billy Napier, Florida.
F. No, at least for last year. I mean, he did.
Man,
he had the number 4 in the draft.
An
Paul.
F for Billy Napier, man. I mean, were you a good student growing up?
No, it was terrible.
Okay, so you're now. I know the type. You're the guy that used to look at the smart kids and say, "Man, if I ever have a chance, I'm coming after you guys."
Exactly, Paul. So I mean, if you were grading me, I'd lucky to be a D.
You're maybe worse than that after this appearance. Okay, so that's we got everybody in the East. Let's get to the West. Arkansas, Sam Pittman.
I mean, I think he is firmly a B plus because I think the job he's done in his 3 years has just been tremendous considering the program he took over. So give me a B plus for Sam Pittman.
Auburn.
Hugh. I mean, this season will tell us a lot about Hugh Freeze. I think he's a little overrated, but a solid B, maybe a B plus for Hugh Freeze.
You should, to tell you how hot it is outside. I almost said Brian Harsin when I gave you Auburn.
He's a solid F, Paul. We all know that.
How hot is it? Brian Harsin. Brian Kelly is what I was thinking of at LSU.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, Paul, I don't follow Notre Dame that closely. We all heard what a great coach he is, and we all saw every time he faced an SEC team, he got, his pants brought down and spanked. So that was my perspective coming into last year, but I thought he smashed it. So give me an A for Brian Kelly. I did not see an SEC West championship coming in year one, and you know how high I am on them entering year two.
Talking to Michael Bratton, we're now in the state of Mississippi, the Magnolia State, the Lane Train.
Well, I'd probably give him a B plus coaching, A plus if we're talking his troll Twitter account. I mean, it's the best in the business.
Zach Arnett State, in case you didn't know.
I mean, it's kind of incomplete. It won the bowl game. Great job managing the situation. But if I had to give him a grade, I'd just give him a C just because we don't know what we have in Zach Arnett yet.
If you ever watch the Miss America contest, it comes down to the final two. And there they are. And you know who they are. And the penultimate name we're giving you, you're probably not sure which one it is because either one is right into your wheelhouse. But we'll go Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher, I mean, he's a great D. I'll give him a D right there.
Okay. Then the last one on the board, let me state some things you've never heard before. Nick Saban, the GOAT, best coach in college football history. He will coach until he's 127. He's won 7 national championships. He owns everyone. What about a grade?
A plus, Paul. I mean, it was all the coordinator's fault the last couple of years. So Nick Saban, no blame on him. He is the greatest coach. I mean, I kid, but he's the greatest coach of all time. And even though I think Kirby, I'd take him today, if we're just going forward, he's got a long, long way to go before he catches up to Nick Saban.
We're talking to Michael Bratton, and we did not plan that. We just thought we'd have some fun, and I applaud you. I mean, those are some entertaining grades on the fly.
Yeah, well, I just never know what you're going to ask me, Paul. I know you wanted to kind of preview media days. So one thing, if I'm lucky enough to ask Nick Saban, though, I'm curious to know, considering that Alabama, they are currently a point spread favorite over everybody they play in the regular season. Do we just automatically put them in the college football playoff, according to the Saban metrics there? I mean that's his case for his team getting in last year. It might as well be at media days too.
Ooh. So let me. I've sat in that room 1,000 times like you have, and I don't know what happens when he leaves the big hall. Usually drops by the SEC desk and schmoozes it up with Tebow and company. You know the drill. What if he came into the SEC podcast like I did a couple of months ago? And I will tell you, Randy, it was a terrifying experience. I went over there to Music Row in Nashville, and man, I was sweating, and you sit down, and the lights are on, and Michael doesn't even talk to you. He's like, you don't even see him. He has an assistant taking you in. They pat you down with a little powder, and then he walks in and still doesn't say a word. So assuming that Nick Saban walks into your little crib during media days, let's hear a couple of questions. You've already tipped your hat on one with the metrics, but let's start over again. What do you ask the GOAT?
Well, I think after some of the appearances that I've made on your show, Paul, I think that's never going to happen. But let's say it does happen. I think I would ask him, Tommy Rees, how far down the list was their new offensive coordinator? Because I can't imagine he was in the top 6 or 7 that he went after to be the new coordinator. How far they've fallen at quarterback, considering Tyler Buckner may be a good player, but from what I've seen, I mean, I don't know that he'd be the 3rd string at LSU. I mean, I really don't. So what in the world are they doing at quarterback? What in the world is happening with defense when he's the greatest coach of all time, and yet Kirby can have an elite defense after elite defense, and our defense is in shambles at times in key moments. I think those are kind of the big questions I have for Nick Saban, and if he's happy with the NIL after he complained about it for the better part of 2 years.
Would you ask him about his future?
I mean, no, because he wouldn't give me an honest answer anyway, Paul. So I'd just be wasting everybody's time, I feel like.
So that brings me to the question I have for you. And when we get to media days, we know what the coaches are not going to say. So does that pigeonhole the media into asking what we think they'll answer? Because I've asked questions before at media days that certain coaches didn't like, and it can often turn very ugly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique situation to be sure. Now that, your great network is there in broadcasting everything. I mean, everything said is broadcast to the world immediately. So it seems like these coaches are more guarded than ever. So it's just a tough thing to get transparent. I mean, Clark Lee, we kid before. I mean, he named a starting quarterback, and that was about the biggest news that came out of SEC Media Days last year. So these coaches just don't reveal that much. For me, Media Days is all about getting to talk with the people that cover the teams, get inside information from all of them. That is the true value, I think, in actually being there. But it's like pulling teeth trying to get these guys to say anything worthwhile, in my opinion.
So, assuming that, and let's talk about who's on your list. Since I've already done it, I'll take myself off of it. Not that you wanted to talk to me, but who in the media do you want to sit down and have a long, extended conversation with?
One guy that I'm a big fan of his, and I think again, thanks to you, Paul, and your great show, I think I'm banned from his network, but I would love to talk with Billy Lucci. So maybe put this out there and ask
Billy
him what
Lucci, Texas, yeah.
Right. I want to know what he thinks about Jimbo Fisher, because it seemed like for a while there, even he was turning on Jimbo, only about for a day or two, and then he was back on. He does a heck of a job.
So Billy has banned you from his apparatus. Is that correct?
I don't know if he specifically did,
okay,
Paul, but I would imagine.
Okay, who other than Billy Lucci?
You're talking to just media boys?
Yeah, let's stay with. I mean, by the way, it doesn't matter. I mean, it could be anyone. We just.
Yeah, my favorite is Rusty Manziel down there. He covers Georgia. That's a guy you need to get on your show more often, Paul.
Rusty Manziel.
Rusty Manziel, Dogs 247.
Okay.
Excuse me, used to be. Now Dogs HQ. Sorry about that, Rusty. He's got his hand or pulse on that Georgia program better than anybody.
I don't know if we had Rusty on the show. I don't think we've ever had Rusty on the show. So that's a great idea, because we don't have many dog guests. Okay, you got Billy, you got Rusty. Who else would you recommend or want to talk to?
Well, I mean, I'm going to talk to him anyway because he's my co-host. But last year, Paul, cousin Shane, first time at SEC Media Days, and he was the star of the event.
So who is this guy? I see you tweeting about him, and I know I sound like Grandpa down the street who just got home from the hospital. But who is cousin Shane?
So he really is. We get asked this all the time. Are we really cousins? We really are. And he's my co-host. He's the guy on the couch. I try to provide the analysis. He's the sharpest guy I've ever met.
Okay.
He's just the guy on the couch drinking a beer, watching these games. But
is he?
I'm telling you, Paul,
by the way, is he safe for us to put on our airways?
I would lean towards no.
Okay.
I mean, it depends
Okay.
on how early in the day, how many beers he's
Okay.
had. But no, he would be a real treat on your network.
Okay. Anyone else before we run? Before they cancel the show here?
Man, too many to mention here, Paul. But I love talking to Neil McCready. He's a great
we
one.
talked to Neil a couple of months ago. I like Neil.
Okay. And the guys over at 11 Personnel, Nick Roush and Adam Luckett, cover Kentucky.
Okay.
Those are two other guys I think you got to start having on your show.
Okay.
No one does Kentucky better than them.
Well, we know who we need to talk to. We need to sit down with you and help shape out our fall schedule, because Michael Bratton's got it all figured. In terms of official people, is there a coach or two that you would like to lasso into your
I mean, I
podcast?
think the one on my dream bucket list there is Sam Pittman. I'm just such a big fan of Coach Pittman and everything he's done, and not only the success they've had on the field, but most of these coaches, Paul, I mean, I hate to be giving away secrets here, but I don't know if they really care that much other than the paycheck. And now it doesn't go for all of them, but I certainly put Sam Pittman in the category where I think in his heart of hearts, he's a true Arkansas man, and just loves that program, and it shines through. And I know they would never allow us to have open alcohol at media days, but that's one of the bonuses of having that studio you mentioned. We open container is permitted in there. So if he'd be willing, Sam Pittman is at the top of my list.
Michael, I'll say this before we run. Off camera, off the field, I would agree with you on Sam Pittman. He is the genuine article. I was with Sam and Jamie, his wife, at the SEC meetings this year for a little while, and two nicer people, finer people you will never meet. And I know that sounds like a typical cliche people say, but you're right. I mean, he's different, and I think because of his road to where he is right now. It's been a long journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see good things happen to people that work hard and, have finally kind of get their due. I mean, he's been in the SEC a long, long time as an assistant. Never would have imagined Sam Pittman being a head coach of an SEC program, but I think thus far he has knocked it out of the park.
And by the way, I rarely read tweets, texts on the air, Michael, but I just got one from Tuscaloosa. Who the blank is that guy, and why do you have him on the show? Signed, Nick Saban.
I told you, Paul. I mean, we all know you vacation with him and Miss Terry down there, and I'm just hoping to get that invite one day.
We'll mention it. Michael, see you in a couple of weeks in Nashville, and I hope. I'm not sure we'll be allowed to ever talk to you again after this. Thank you, Michael Bratton, joining us from the SEC, or that SEC podcast. Quick break. Your phone call is around the corner.